Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. This is WS Radio and the Literacy for All radio show. Our guest is David Rosen with Newsome Associates. Welcome back, David.
Thanks. Good to talk with you today.
So glad to have you. I wanted to make sure you were still there. I know it's it's cold out, so I didn't know if you were just enjoying the indoor heat or whatever.
It's unusually cold in Boston today.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're thinking about you here in San Diego, California. We've been talking about the digital divide and maybe moving on to more specifics related to how not just closing the digital divide with low-income populations and second language groups and ethnic populations, but just what communities can be doing to create access to instructional programs that would help folks who are, for example, learning English. Now, here in San Diego County and in California, I could say about 80% of adult basic education services are for folks who are learning English. So there are a lot of folks out there asking for help, but there's also a lot of folks who are not. And so how can we increase those numbers, David?
Well, I think there's a wonderful new opportunity, and it really is because of the smartphone. As we've discussed in the past, the smartphone is the new way in which particularly younger people are accessing the Internet, the World Wide Web. And, in fact, many young people don't have computers at home. Many never did, but some who might have 10 years ago don't. They rely on the smartphone entirely for all of their information, communication, and entertainment, all of that.
Yeah.
But here's the opportunity and also the challenge, and that is in the palm of your hand, if you own a smartphone, is an incredible tool for learning. And yet most people have no idea how to use the tool for that purpose. And let's say, in particular, we can talk about learning English. As you know, Jose, and maybe some of your listeners know, there has been a large-scale prize called the X Prize, focused on adult literacy and English language learning apps. Mm-hmm. And through that prize, some 40 or so apps were developed and then reviewed and judged, and that was narrowed down to 8 semifinalists and 5 finalist apps. And then in, I think, the first week of February, they are going to announce the winner or winners, which incidentally doesn't mean that those are the only good apps. I think there's a lot of merit in at least all the semifinalist apps.
Right.
But all of the finalist and semifinalist apps do focus on English language learning as well as adult literacy. And they are inexpensive, or in some cases they have been free. I think as time goes on, they're not going to be free because the app developers have to earn some money to pay back the investments that have been made.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be expensive. And that means that people who know about them and know how to download them and know how to use them well are going to be able to see some really rapid growth in their English language learning, listening, speaking, reading, and writing.
Very good. And the folks at X Prize saw that this was a need and made this the focus of the competition. Let me ask you, David. How are the apps for educational purposes different from other apps? Why would there be a particular challenge using these apps versus other apps? And I know there are all kinds of apps. I mean, I have one that's a flashlight, but then you have apps that are a little bit more complex than that. Then you have the education related apps. Is it just that there's not practice on these, or people aren't aware of them, or what is the obstacle there?
Well, first of all, there haven't been a lot of adult basic skills learning apps. There have been learning apps. There have been K through 12 learning apps, large numbers of those. Higher ed apps, both instructional and tools for accomplishing various kinds of learning projects, presenting them, word processing them, crunching numbers on them, all kinds of apps for doing things like that. But there really haven't been apps that have been focused on an adult population that needs to learn basic skills, basic literacy in some cases, and English language learning. And now there are, in large part because of the X Prize competition, but also it's brought a lot of attention to other app developers who are also developing these apps. And they vary tremendously. The X Prize apps tend to be more sophisticated, have more content, in some cases a whole curriculum devoted to English language learning. In other cases, apps have been developed for just a small part. For example, how to improve your basic English vocabulary, but not other parts of English language learning. So there are a lot of apps out there. It really depends on what the particular learner is interested in doing, which app or apps might be most suitable.
And they have to know that those apps are out there, and which ones are out there. Now, I'm guessing that you've studied, if not, a whole bunch of the entries in the X Prize competition. You know the final ones that may not have a whole lot of popularity. Now, I know of only one because it's local. That's the Learning Upgrade program.
That's right.
And I think they are one of the finalists and such. So that one I'm familiar with.
They are, yeah.
And then how many other folks know about that app? I do know that there are adult basic education institutions in our region that are using it in the classroom, and in this case, because they're doing that, their students are using the app. So here you go. Here's a way of making that introduction in a guided way. But it's still the challenge of which one of these do I use? Which one's going to help me the most? So how can we or libraries or programs play a role in making that happen? How can we educate them about what's best for the students?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned libraries, because I think there's a tremendous role for libraries. Although, as far as I know, the San Diego Public Library has not taken advantage of this. There's something that is called a learning circle, and this was really created by an organization called Peer-to-Peer University. If you want to look for it on the web, it's p2pu.org, p2pu.org. And Peer-to-Peer University, which is incidentally not a university, it's a metaphor for peer-to-peer learning, created this really simple but I think very powerful idea, and that is the learning circle, which is a combination of once a week face-to-face learning. The group comes together around a common interest once a week. Could be English language learning. It could be public speaking. It could be writing a novel. It could be any number of things. The libraries bring together people who are interested in a particular topic or subject. They meet once a week, typically anywhere from 3 weeks to 14 weeks. And in the meantime, they also use an online course or an online app. And then when they come back together the next week, they discuss what they've done online. They share challenges that they might have met and figure out peer-to-peer how to solve those challenges. These groups, the learning circles, are led by a trained facilitator and sponsored in most cases by libraries, in some cases actually by English language learning programs. So that, for example, in some parts of the country, I don't know if this is true in California, but it's definitely true in Massachusetts where I live, there are long waiting lists for English language classes. And so while people are on waiting lists, in some learning centers, they are now offering English language learning circles. So they're doing something online, and they're doing something face-to-face. And they're building peer support. And literally during the week, in some cases, the members of the learning circles are using an app, for example, WhatsApp, but there are other communications apps that people use. It could be Facebook, for example. And they are staying in touch around the thing that they're trying to learn, in this case, for example, English language learning. So these learning circles really are quite amazing. And there are a lot of them now. There are over 500 in 133 participating cities, and mostly in libraries. And libraries, and not only in the U.S. are doing this. In fact, the largest library system in the world that is using learning circles is in Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow. But not the San Diego Public Library. We'll check on that because,
as far as I know,
yeah.
I went actually yesterday to the P2PU website looking specifically to see if there was anything going on in the San Diego Public Library, and I did not find anything. So maybe that's something somebody wants to approach the library about.
Well, sure. We're planning on having the city librarian on this show in the future. So it's a good, especially given waiting lists. Well, that's one of the benefits. It's one of the things that can occupy folks in areas of interest while they're waiting for instruction. I mean, when we open up ESL classes here, they fill up right away. So it's something we all have in common. We'll be back with David Rosen in the next segment. I'm Jose Cruz. This is Literacy for All Radio. We're on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 more hours. That's 866-734-6877.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy. This is your Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio. Our guest is David Rosen from Newsome Associates, and we've been talking about a number of things in the past 45 minutes related to digital divide and also just ways to create more access to technology and apps for the purpose of enhancing adult basic skills, teaching English, etc. David, we were talking about the Learning Circle. Is that part of, I think, I'm trying to find it now, just looking at there, it is the English Now Scale Up Project. Is that, which one is bigger?
Well, I suppose Learning Circles is bigger. It's all over the world, and it's growing very fast as a concept that's being delivered in a number of communities. But let me tell you a little bit about the English Now project. This was funded by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and sponsored by World Education, which is located in Boston, and also by P2PU, which I mentioned earlier, peer-to-peer university. So this partnership had a very specific purpose, which was to use learning circles to help people who were on long waiting lists for English language classes. And the pilot sites were all in New England states. 3 of them were in the greater Boston area. One was in a library, actually, in Providence, Rhode Island, and one was in an adult school in Portland, Maine. And each of these pilot sites took the Learning Circle model as it was developed by P2PU and adapted it specifically for this purpose. And I was the evaluator of this project, and it was really a very exciting 18-month project, and we learned quite a few important things. One is that English language learners who had never even heard of learning circles or online learning or necessarily had even experienced any online learning before really got excited about this and really engaged, regardless of what their level was. There was a program, for example, in Boston that worked with true beginning English language learners and adapted the Learning Circle to be used in a classroom. And it worked out very well, and they loved it, and they got engaged. And this really helped them prepare for the classes that they were then going to enroll in.
Excellent.
We later asked, actually, as part of the evaluation, we asked the teachers of the classes how the people who were in learning circles were doing as compared with those who weren't. And the teachers said, without exception, these are the best students in the class. Now, maybe they were the best students in the learning circle, too. We don't know. But highly motivated, sure. But also the skills that they learned in peer learning, as well as the English language and online learning skills, all gave them a powerful advantage that led to success in the classes themselves.
Yeah, so, when we talk about technology, I think quite often we think in terms of a person sitting at a computer or even using their own smartphone and working independently of the rest of the world. But you just said that the peer learning aspect of at least this use of the technology is impactful, that along with the personal learning opportunities.
Absolutely. In fact, there was one learning circle that was held in a YMCA, International Services of YMCA of Greater Boston. And this was a more advanced group. These were people who were really brushing up on their English language oral skills and improving their academic skills because they were going on to college. So they were more sophisticated than certainly a beginning level. And when I interviewed them at the end of their learning circle, one of the things I asked is, so did you stay in touch at all between the times that the Learning Circle met, since it only met once a week. And they said, oh, yes, definitely. And I said, how did you do that? And they said, well, in the first Learning Circle meeting, we discovered that we all used the same app, WhatsApp, as it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to stay in touch in between and share ideas on the websites that we were using and the assignments that were made as part of the Learning Circle. And then they added, and also we decided that we really wanted to spend more time together. So after every meeting, we went out to dinner together. Now, that's not part of the design of a Learning Circle, but it gives you an idea of what is possible with peer learning and when you facilitate a learning model that really brings people together and encourages them to help each other.
Man, I'm just trying to think how much is that happening in other settings where students are affiliating with each other outside and doing things like dinner, et cetera, and being that mutual support for each other. It's like I said, it's kind of contrary to what we expect from the use of technology. That at least what I had learned early on is, technology is really good for that person who's not very good socially. They need immediate reinforcement and need to be able to focus. But here's the technology actually doing the opposite, and that is engaging people live with each other. So that's a very exciting thing.
Yeah.
So very good.
And teachers are finding this too, in their classes. Even teachers who are not themselves that comfortable with certain kinds of technology, once they give up having to be an expert in the technology itself and say, okay, here's a problem we're trying to solve using technology, and I'm not very experienced in doing this. I'm wondering if anybody in the class is. We could all struggle with this together, but maybe somebody has already figured this out. And a hand goes up from the back of the class from somebody who has never really spoken up before, who says, yeah, I can solve that.
Right.
And steps up to the front of the class and demonstrates how to use the technology. I mean, really, the model here is no longer sage on the stage, as some people put it, or even a side-by-side learning model. It's what one program in Boston describes as a WAIT model, W-A-I-T-T. We are all in this together.
Yes. And it's more, let's say, consumer or student-centered, student-controlled instruction, as you said, not the sage on the stage, but giving the students the opportunity to also be a teacher and a sharer of information that they may be ahead of the person who's leading the classroom. So
absolutely,
we want to see that. We want to see that happening. David, we got about a minute and a half to chat, and I want folks to know how to get in touch with you if they want more information about the research that you're familiar with. And if you have if we fit this in, I know you're affiliated with the Open Door Collective, and I think that's something you put together to reduce poverty and income inequality. Very consistent with the work that you're doing. I know I'm just laying a whole bunch of on you in the last minute here, but tying that all together.
Sure. The Open Door Collective, I'm a co-founder. There were 3 of us who founded it, and it's now a group of about 80 people from around the country, all of whom are committed to reducing poverty and income inequality, most of whom are involved with adult basic skills education. Some are also involved in community health and public library work, in job training, career pathways work. Some are involved with anti-poverty work. Some are involved with focusing on safety net services. There are quite a range of people who are all trying to move our society toward helping people get out of poverty.
Very good. We're going to sign off.
You asked how people could get hold of me?
Yeah, I got it right here. DJ Rosen 123@gmail.com. I was ready.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, so glad to have you on the show, David. Let's bring you back if you'll have us.
Oh, it'd be great. Thanks.
Very
it's
good.
Been a pleasure, Jose.
Okay, my pleasure. Our pleasure. You've been listening to Literacy for All Radio on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011, 800-628-6011, NavyMutual.org, insuring those who serve.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.